Hello, this is Scott Carpenter, and wanted to do a quick video. First of all, I want to kind of make everyone a promise I'm going to do better at putting out more regular content as far as answering questions and giving information. I just went through a pretty rough period in my life, and I'm kind of through that now and moving forward, and it's time, it's time to do what I need to be doing, help people out that have had encounters and are having issues and writing the emails. I've been, distracted and not been able to think and concentrate and give the kind of thoughtful and intelligent responses that I wanted to, and at a higher volume than just a few emails. So I promise you that here in the next few weeks, there's going to be more content as far as me answering questions and giving information. I've said many times, it's more efficient and quicker to answer emails in videos, because I can either spend hours or days responding to 200 emails, or I can do one video that pretty much answers the questions in all 1 or 200 emails. And so and that's what I'm kind of do tonight. It's kind of funny how things work out. Like, I'll get several emails asking for photographs, or does anybody have any good photographs, or do you have any good video? I can't find any good video. And of course my site's got video on it, which I think is pretty good, in my opinion. But I'm getting new subscribers and people who, I get it, you don't want to filter back through 50 videos so I need to, sometimes you just need to redo content. And a lot of what I'm getting ready to do today, it's not time for me, it's going to be, old hash for those who follow my channel, but for those who are new, who haven't seen anything as far as much of my, what I've posted, or the research I've done, or the photos and videos I've captured, this will be new stuff, and I hope it'll be edifying and putting a face to an encounter, having an encounter, and then being able to say later, by looking at a picture, that's what I saw. It, number one, helps you deal with the situation, but it also, it's a validation. And those of us who've done research and seen them and all this, we sometimes forget that people who are just, minding their own business and have an encounter, and then this thing sticks in their craw, they can't get it out of their head, they need validation. And I get it. I mean, my validation was doing research and going back into the field and getting video captures and still captures, and doing the research. But, some people don't have that ability, or don't, just can't do that. But, we can help, I can help by showing what I've captured. And this is not proof. I'm not proving anything. If you come on here and want to fire off, your pareidolia king, and, this isn't proof of anything, well, that, I can't help you. This is for those people, and for those of us who've had encounters and who are trying to put our pieces of the puzzle together, who are trying to, come to grips with what they've seen. While I've been talking, this sketch has been on the screen, and it's a sketch by Sibylla Irwin. And she's been working with me to sketch 2 infant Sasquatch I saw when I was a young boy, 11, 12-ish years old. and this is the larger one, and this is pretty spot on. And I've talked before about how therapeutic and how it helped me with closure in this event, being able to actually see. And that's what I saw. I can tell you, and I can tell others, this right here is what I saw on my back porch, staring in at me through the screen door. That's it. That's the Sasquatch. That's the being. That's the creature. That's it. That's what I saw with my two eyes. And it gave me nightmares for years. So it helps bring closure. It helps, it's helped me tremendously. Because now, like I'm sitting here now doing this video, and I'm telling you, there it is. I don't have to try to describe it, or I see it in my mind's eye, but it's, there it is. That's it. And so I'm going to I pulled out some of my better still captures, and I'm going to play the video of the white Sasquatch that I got on the back trail, because and I've kind of got a mix of stuff that I got captured 2009 and 10 all the way up to just a couple years ago. More recently, I flagged my 4K back trail. And it's a wide variety. You're going to see one thing I want you to see is there's genetic variation in the Sasquatch people. They're not all the same one. They don't all look alike. But also some of these pictures will give you the typical ways that they hide and how they do. Like one is, the Sasquatch is literally standing in the shadows, and only thing that he moves is his eye. And it's only one eye. And as me and the ex-wife walked by, he literally, it's creepy because he's not moving. He's just following us with his eye, and I capture that it's a GoPro 4K. So, you can see it, the eye and the right cheekbone really good. And then a few frames later, he moves position, and I actually get pretty darn good facial shot as he kind of leans forward, because we've already passed now and are walking away. So he moves in a better position, and probably, I don't know, 10, 12 seconds later, we're in a different position. He moves, and so he was a little bit lower, probably bent over, and then he moves to another position in the thicket he's in, and he's kind of he's back in the shadows, and he, for one frame, he moves his face forward to take a full, look at us. But by this time, we're by him, and our backs are completely to him. So there's no, it's when we first pass, and it's the one eye watching us. We are literally parallel, right. If we turned our heads to the right, we'd be looking right at him. So obviously, he's going to be very still and just watch us with his eye. And then after we get past him and our backs are completely to him, then he moves and takes a full peek. And this is a good example of their behavior, how they hide, how they watch you. And then, when they feel comfortable enough, they'll, take a good peek. Yeah, they're watchers. They're watching us. So with me not babbling anymore, I almost forgot. I wanted to talk about the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference. I went up there, and my good friend David Pilates was speaking, and Ron Moorhead was also speaking, and the other speakers, but wanted to spend some time with Dave and get to meet Ron Moorhead, which I did, and had a great time. And during the convention, I just mulled around and shook hands and just met people that I knew, and saw old friends and met new friends, and saw people that I'd only corresponded with or talked to, on Facebook Messenger or whatever. It was so good just to see a whole lot of people. It just, gave me a pep in my step. It was really good therapy for me just to shake hands and see smiling faces and see people who genuinely, were, caring and loving and appreciated the work you do. and I can't say thank you enough. I'm humbled. I mean, it blows me away. I just can't. God's blessed me beyond what I deserve, for sure. And to everybody I met, and I'm not going to name names because I'll forget somebody, you know how that is. But everybody, those who took me to dinner and those who, you know, showed me their footage, and we had good conversations. To everybody, I just want to say that I had a great time. Thank you. I appreciate you. And you know, I don't do many conventions. I don't speak at many, and I don't do many. That's just not my thing. But this one was special, and you know, I'm glad I went and had a great time. And of course, I grew up going to the town of Gatlinburg, so you know it's stomping ground. So you know it's good memories up there, and was able to just have a couple of good days up there with friends and all my new friends. And again, I'm babbling. Me and Steve got that problem, but trying to get this thought train back on the track. I want to thank everybody and appreciate you. So let's not make this too long. Take a sip of my tea. Hang on. All right, so I'm going to jump out of this, and I've just copy and pasted some stuff. Now this little guy here, this is a Sasquatch, has a black patch on his nose. In fact, there were sightings a few years before this in the same general area within like 10, 15 square miles of a similar Sasquatch. Now this still capture was with a 480 P Handycam. This was literally the first time I ever went out and quote researching. It was the first time I went out after my encounter with the one huffing and puffing and raising cane on the point when I was fishing. This is the area. I got hit with infrasound. I had the camera in my hand. I didn't even have a monopod, and I was facing the Sasquatch here. He's actually hugging a huge, he's in the middle of a cedar tree and he's hugging it. And the next day I go back and I find a footprint, and he has you could see where he went up into the tree and he broke all the limbs off. And I measured the very top limb break, and it was 12 feet. So this thing's a 12-footer. And long story, I'll just whittle it down that I got popped by infrasound, kind of got disoriented, kind of lost some time. But as I'm turning to go back up the trail, I probably caught a series of about 15 to 20, and this is probably the best one of the Sasquatch. There he is, and I just blew that up. There's his left eye, there's the right one. Right eye, left eye, there's his nose, and that black patch on his nose and his mouth. So that, and like I said, that was the first still capture there that I got. Of course, here is the oldie but goodie. This is the trail cam up in the mountains, where this is the tree right here. We're put tape on and got hair. This is where this was like this dude here. This is basically at the edge of the throw of the infrared. So, you know, he'd step back and then he stepped forward. You see the scutter. Yeah, there he is. There's his nose, his eye. Sometimes when you blow it up, it's worse. It's actually easier to see when it's back. But this is where I figured out, hey, I need to put tape on this tree right here, because there's a trail camera here, but it's pointing this way. So they come up here, the trail camera was pointing off to the right, and they knew it wasn't pointing at them. So, they would set the next one off and then just kind of look at it, stay just right at the edge of the infrared. Now here is the big Sasquatch in the laurel, and it's going to be all out of whack, but 2010. A year after I started my research, I went in, this is all in the same area. There's a laurel thicket. I have to relieve myself. I turn my back to the laurel thicket. I'm holding the camera pointing backwards as I relieve myself. And this Sasquatch is watching me. We all, for some reason, because of the features, call it the lady in the laurels. But here basically is obvious movement. You can see, if you watch right here, you can see there's the left cheek, right cheek, the eyes, there's the hair. And I went back in and did I stood where the Sasquatch is. Its head is humongous. But there it is. You know, these are two frames. Its mouth shut, its mouth is open. You know, so it's pretty obvious it's moving. And you can see it as it opens its mouth, kind of like it's moving the foliage. So, and actually when the mouth open, it's a little bit clearer there. But again, this is 480p camera. Don't write me no emails and tell me to get a better camera. I already have. Some people I begged for help would have sent me some better equipment. I'd have got a better capture, but that's, you know, all water over the dam now. All right. There's another shot of the same Sasquatch just earlier in the video when before I started to swing my shoulders. And it's the mouth's open, and it's the left eye and the cheek. You can see the head's at a different angle, so this laurel leaf is covering the whole right eye. Notice the one eye peeking. That's you know, hundreds if not thousands of people when they see them always talk about, you know, they're only, you know, not both eyes, most of the time just one eye. There's another one. This is, you can actually see this is the larger picture, and this is the Sasquatch right there. You can kind of see how back into the shadows it was, and then there's the mouth is open right there, and nose and left eye. Let's see. And that's just another frame. That's a real good one. If you really look, you can see the left eye. You can see the sclera in the eye. See both nostrils. You can see the mouth right there. She's chewing on something. The left cheek is up, you know, like you're chewing. And the whole time of the video, her mouth was moving. There's her mouth. There's the nostrils. There's her left eye. There's her brow, and of course that's her head. So, little gems. I'm getting like MK Davis. I just keep deep diving into videos, getting more gems. And this is just me, same picture, just highlighting that and blowing it up there for you. So you can see that. Oh, that was awful. See how it just doesn't, you can't hardly, you know, there's the eye and the sclera, and the cheeks up, but when you blow it up, you just, you know, but you can see it pretty good right there. This was later in my research. This is high def. I didn't know that this thing was standing behind me. It just started raining. I was about a mile off the main trail in this area. I was doing research. This same day I also got a video of a ET looking thing, but they had started doing their mumbling and talking, breaking sticks and stomping in a half arc all the way around me, leaving the way out with nothing. In other words, they were telling me to leave. And I was spinning around and around, nervous. You can look at my little beady eyes there. I was really tore up. And then I saw one take up, in front of me was a hill that went up. I was in a bowl, a natural bowl. And this thing got caught behind me and just stood there. You can see he's at a perfect profile, just standing there. And that's the, full size. That's, and then when you blow him up, there's his mouth, his right cheek, his eye, his nose. There's his shoulder. He's got a wound. The hair is off of his, there's a patch of bare skin on his right deltoid, and he's got skin and a scar, some sort of wound right there. So it's kind of freaky looking, and there'll be others here. And that's just me going, I just cut him out there. You can see him. See how well they blend in? And there's the wound. Again, this is untouched except for brightness and contrast, and I don't even think on this one I may have no, I didn't deblur it. So that's the only two filters right here. It's just contrast and dark and light. And you can obviously see his nose and his mouth. He's got his little goatee, his cheek. Of course, he's got a tree right there. This is a tree. He's standing right behind a bush. Then you can see you can see the texture of his gray skin right there. And he's got the classic dome head. This is a classic, look Sasquatch up in the dictionary, and there it is. This is a classic. Of course, it's very human-like. It's got the wide, flat nose, high cheekbones, some Native American look going on there, mouth, the whole nine. Big old barrel chest. You can see here how wide his chest is. Pretty good sized feller. Me and Greg Graddick went back in there a few months later, made sure, did a bunch of follow up. No, there wasn't a shadow there. There wasn't a bush there. Yada, 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 yada. There's another. That's just a cutout with him. You can see how well he blends in. And this is 1080p. Still, you can see there the nose and eye, his cheek, his mouth, and there's a little fuzz growing off. You can see. And then, again, that scar, that place on his, it's where the hair's, basically his hair has been, ripped or torn, leaving it, this area exposed. So something happened. What? I don't know. There's just a close-up of the wound, and you can see the skin texture. You can see the skin texture there. And his hair, and then I'm assuming this is the wound. It looks kind of pussy, like it's infected. So this is from up in the mountains, up on the side of a mountain. This was a Sasquatch doing the one-eye peek around a tree, looking at a trail camera. That's infrared, of course. You can see his eyes glowing in his ear, and there's his mouth, and he's kind of distorted because of the infrared. And then this is me in the same location. I'm just comparing the size of our head. You can see this thing's head is huge compared to mine. And I kind of flipped it around so you could get an idea of what the size of the head is. Again, and that's just nighttime and infrared, and I just cut and flipped it over to give you. Okay, so this is the blue Sasquatch. I got this on back trail camera at the Baker's Creek area on Tellico Lake. It was in the middle of the winter, bright March, middle of winter, February. And I was a really bright sunny day, and I was walking off a hill, and I got about 30 frames of this guy, which is about a second. There's a tree right here, and he popped his head up. If you look, it's really funny looking. But there's his mouth. That's his teeth. There's his lip, and his nose, and his left cheek, and there's his eye, and his hair is blue. So you can see his teeth, his top row of teeth. then I blew him up here, and then that's a sketch. I did a composite sketch based on this right here. He's got a fat cheeks and, you know, chipmunky looking thing. You can see the bottom lip is kind of red. And his teeth right there. Just a weird one. This is a comparison. This is the Sasquatch that was in the laurel thicket, and this is a Sasquatch I got on a plot watcher, 2018. I just set a plot watcher up and walked off. I just threw it up and thought, what the heck? Because this area had a lot of activity, and this guy snuck up and was actually quite a ways away from the plot watcher, but I just thought, you know, this is pretty darn close. Eyes and the nose. If they're not the same Squatch, they could be related. This is a close-up of the Sasquatch that I actually saw him run and squat down and at Tellico Lake at the campground. I was walking my dog and kind of cleaned him up. See his mouth right there and his nose, got his ear, kind of got a receding forehead. Now let's see. Let's go. I'll come back. This right here, I'll come back to that. I got out of order. This is where the one had the one eye. He was right here, and he moved here after we walked by. And you can see his two eyes right there. He looks like, you know, I'm kind of working on the theory that, you know, that people say they don't see the Sasquatch blink, and I'm working on the theory that they may have a clear eyelid like a snake, and it will go over and come back, reptilian like. And because look how the eyes, it's just a slit. So sometimes, and you know, the sun's really bright, so sometimes, you know, and I got video of them where they just literally don't blink. People talk about how they don't blink, and I'm wondering if they've got that clear eyelid, you know, so where they can moisten their eye, and it's got, you know, and it kind of gives them a kind of kind of is there to help with the sunlight and glare by, you know, causing just it to be a slit they look through. Because, you know, like if you're in snow blind, if you in an area where you don't have sunglasses and you got a lot of bright snow and the sun shining, you know, people will make those little slit masks they put on to help them see. And that's just Scott's theory. I can't prove nothing. But you can see the end of his nose. You can see the texture of his skin right there at the top of his mouth. Later I'll flop back and forth. You can see it. It's back in the shadow and he moves forward. This is another game cam. These are probably DNA donors to the Sasquatch Genome Project. And this little knob right there is 8 feet. So the one in front is at least 9 feet tall, and there's one bulbous-nosed Jimmy Durante Sasquatch behind him that's pushing 12. Again, there's the strap, and the hair trap was put on this tree here. There's the real freaky one that's in that same location. That's just cut out and blown up. He's freaky looking. It may be because of the infrared, high cheekbones, but that's just what he looked like. There's another one. It's not as bright, but you can see the guy in front here. He's got a little bump on his nose and his mouth, and he's got the classic, what we call the raccoon look. David Pilates, the one he saw in this same area, had this look. See how the hair's, he's round like an raccoon eye. He's got the hair trimmed around. Whereas this one here just got, you know, a bowl haircut, however you want to put it. Genetic diversity, they all don't look alike. This is actually a close-up of the one that stuck its eye in the camera, and he's actually looking at the camera sideways. The camera was almost 9-10 feet off the ground, and that's the eye and the eyebrow, right cheek, side of the head. See, I did it backwards, and that's what how he was looking at the camera. That's like that was like almost the last frame. He stuck his eye in the camera real fast and was gone. And I just straightened it out. All right, here's the eye. Now this is with a 4K. Let me see something real quick. See all these pictures I've got here. So I'm getting ready to go through this. Basically, we're walking by and he's right there. He's right, this looks big and he's right there. What I'm showing you is this area here, and then after we walk farther along, he'll move from here to up here. So he goes from here with the one eye and he'll move up here with his full face. So probably, more than likely, he's probably didn't move very far. He's bent over here, and then he stands fully up and then moves over there. And you can, I point him out and you can see his sneaky little eye moving. So let's go back to that one and here. So there's this little branch that's cut off, and then he's right here. That's his right eye. He's got his cheek pushed in here. There's a limb, and it's pressing into his cheek. And then that's his right brow, and that's the top of his head. He's back in that shadow. So watch right there. Watch this craziness. So he's moving. Looks like he takes a breath or puffing, or moving a little bit. You can see the foliage here. See this here, and then he may be shifting to his right because I've stabilized it. See right there? See everything moving? Yeah, he shifts to his right and presses his cheek into this limb, and of course his cheek's skin, so his little fat chubby cheek's going around the limb. See that? Look right there. See, there's the limb. Watch his fat chubby cheek as he moves, and you can see, I don't know if it's his hand or just more of his body, but that's part of him right there too. So watch. So he really moves right there. You can see he moves quite a bit. See all this right here, whatever this is, hand, arm, right shoulder. Watch it. Sorry. Move out of the way here. Look at that. So he moves his chubby cheek into this limb. Watch right there. And you're like, okay, we see it. Okay. And so moves his chubby cheek in, and you see quite a bit of movement in the background there behind this piece of foliage. There's a lot going on here and a lot going on here. So he moves his chubby cheek. There's his cheek. Moves to the right. See, look there. There's more cheek movement. Like, see it? I mean, this is 30 frames per second. So this is 6 frames. So this is how fast this is going. So it sucks his cheek in, takes a breath, does something. This Scott, you should move it so people can see. Put it right there. And then you can see the eye's kind of squinty. That's his eyebrow, his forehead. Now watch. See that? Eye opens up. And there's still movement over here, still something going on with his hands or whatever that is. See, look at that eye. And then you can see there's the glint off the iris, and then there's the sclera. See that? And then, so he's kind of squinty, moves over, cheek gets pressed in. Then I guess he's kind of doing something with his mouth. See, cheek goes over even more. Probably moving a little bit. And there's the eye. There's a really good shot of his eye. You can see both over on both sides. You got sclera, and there's the iris, black iris. Still got stuff going on here. So he starts there, squinty. There's eye, there's eye, there's eye movement. See? His eyes to the right and then straight forward, to the right and then straight forward. Creepy as the hoo-hoo. See that? See that as it catches the sunlight? It's catching the glint of the sunlight there, and he moves it. Now it's not. And then he closes his eye. See, he closes his eye. He moves backwards. He's moving. Actually, it looks like he's moving back a little bit, back and up. It may be when he's repositioning. And if if you keep an eye on this area here, you can see there's a lot going on there too as far as movement. I don't know. That would be his right shoulder and maybe his arm. He may have his hand up there. I can't tell. It's just too much stuff. See there? Look at that. Watch here and watch here all at the same time. Look at that eye movement, cheek movement. Telling me that ain't this is what 4K will do for you. Thank God. If I'd have had 4K on some of these other back trail camera captures, I'd be probably retired in Florida right now, sipping on a pina colada, listening to Jimmy Buffett songs, and wearing my flip-flops. But instead, is what it is. Look at that. Come on, people. Look at that. I'm just too happy with that. And then he backs up. I think he's actually he moves backwards, but I can't prove that. But you see here the cheeks pressed into this limb, and then you can see the front of the limb. So it's like, and then he's moving backwards and up. And like I said, there's a lot going on right in here too. One more time, and then I'll move on. I just think this is creepy. I also think it's creepy fun. And you see this little limb here, in reference to that, he's obviously moving. See how far he moves there? One eye. That's it. One eye. That's all you're going to get, my friends, is one eye. As Dave Pilates likes to say, SEAL Team 6 on steroids. Okay. I'm done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 boom. There's another shot of the old boy at the campground. There's his ear. Big old ear. His eye. Mouth. Cheek. No. This is it was a Primos. Those who are familiar with it, it's a what they call deer positioning system. It takes you can set it to take one photograph every second, every 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever. And the reason I got this was back when I was trying to figure out how to fool them, I thought maybe if it didn't have a passive infrared sensor, broadcasting all the time, maybe they couldn't hear it or sense it. Well, that, of course, was a fallacy. They still saw it. But this guy here, I'm getting ready to come up the trail when he moves in and peeks at it. I've got several seconds of him, maybe 30, 45 seconds of him looking at the camera. He changes positions, et cetera, et cetera. He's not shadows and light and pareidolia, because there's one part where the sun's shining on the top of his forehead, and then there's a shadow on his forehead, and then he kind of moves again, and the sunlight's back on his forehead. Well, the shadow can't have a shadow on itself. So, but anyway. And that's the one I think might look like the Sasquatch, the one in the Laurels. Very similar facial features. And that's just, it's right here. And I'm just blowing it up to here. And that's one eye and another eye. And that's the brow ridge. That's the little puffy nose and the little puffy cheeks. That's its body. People say it's headless, no body. No, it's in thick foliage. And there's the black. There's his shoulder. Notice the head sits on the shoulders, no neck. Look at the shoulder blade go. The shoulders go in about the eye level. No neck. And then I just cut it out so you can see there. And then this here, this is after the Sasquatch. We're going to jump back. I'm going to keep you totally confused during this whole video, but we're going to jump back, and this is where I was, the eye. This is from the same sequence where the eye was moving, and now it's moved. It was down here. Now it's moved up here as we move farther away, and it's back in the shadows. You could see right there. Don't be, don't be intellectually dishonest. You can see it's kind of back, and there's its right eye's right there, its left eye and its nose, and it's kind of back in the shadows, and then it moves forward. It actually, if you'll notice when it moves forward, see this piece of foliage right here and that foliage right there, and look right there, it presses them forward. It moves forward and opens both eyes. Again, notice the eyes are little slits. There he is. Eyes closed, moves forward. Eyes closed, like his head's back a little bit, lowers his head, pushes forward into the foliage. See the hairline? Right there's his hairline. There's his brow ridge, right brow, into the nose and his mouth. And you can tell all around here, and even here, the foliage, when he leans forward, he moves the foliage. But if you'll notice, like he doesn't push that far forward. This foliage stays steady while this foliage here in the back, he pushes it forward. And then this is the full size. This is the actual photograph. So that's the still capture. He was down here. We moved forward and he's jumped up here. And then that's, there he is here. If you look here, that's where he is. And then I just isolated over here. So, boom, boom. And of course, I line it up so you can see him better. He's back. His head's back, moves forward. Head's back, moves forward. Head's back, moves forward. Boom, 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 boom. So, there you go. And then he's gone. Now this is back. This is the sequence where the eye is. Oops, sorry. Touchscreen. And this is the full size sequence of the eye. So there's his eye, and right there. Okay, this is the gray Sasquatch that was watching me as I was explaining stuff. And like MK Davis, I just keep working it and filtering it and filtering it. And I finally was able to get a filter combination where I was able to get some features, really good facial features. And this is the cutout of the guy, and you can clearly see he's gray in color, a light gray with gray skin. And he's about 40 or so yards behind me in gray foliage. So gray on gray on gray, a digital camera, but I think that's a pretty good thing. Now he's a little bit different than your traditional Sasquatch. He's got more of a neck. Notice the neck's higher, or the shoulders. And he lives in the same area as the white one. And you can clearly see the right eye. You can clearly see the left eye. You can see the protruding brow ridge. You can see his right ear, and you can see his nostril. And actually, you can see a little bit of his mouth, his cheek. And then this is his left arm and his shoulder. And he's standing, behind a bunch of foliage. There's another shot. This is from same shot. You can see his eye. This is the foliage. This is the thick poo-poo he's in. Look how thick that is. He's just popping his head up. Again, one eye. Notice that? One eye. peeking with one eye. You can see the other eye, but just one eye is the main eye. Again, the nose, right cheek, ear. See that, you can see, his hair lightens up a little bit there on top. There's just another one. I blew it up. Again, the right eye, very visible. See the left eye. There's the left shoulder. There's a cutout. There's a little better. That you can kind of see. That's the bramble. My face, big ugly mug was in front. He was behind. And I had worked multiple frames, multiple filters. I finally got that eye. Finally got, because it's digital, so you're just kind of back and forth, and then finally, boom, got the right combination, hit the right frame, ran the filters, was able to get that eye to come out. So there he is, and that's smaller, but that again, it gives you an idea of all, these trees were in front, so he was way back there. This tree was about halfway between us. And that's just me oscillating, so you can see him. There he is in the foliage. There's the cutout. Foliage, cutout. There's old Creepy Joe again, just to show you. There's this little knob at 8 feet, so he's 9-footer. And again, he's in that same area, peeking at the trail camera. Here's 3 of them. There's 4 individual Sasquatch here. These are all possible donors to the Sasquatch Genome Study. And that's the earlier one. That's the 2, Jimmy Durante and Raccoon Boy. And this one's a different one. He's only got him once. So it's like they were taking turns of looking at watching the trail camera. And notice one eye, one eye, one eye. This one just about gives you both eyes. But yeah, that one right there. You can see they're all different sizes. This one's head's quite large compared to those 2. These 2 are more, whether these are younger or just different sizes. There's cut out the one in the laurels. You can see the eyes, the brow ridge, and the nostrils. That was one where I just stepped through till there was finally, basically the limb was like right there, and I cut it out. And that was right, basically as I started to move my shoulders, it started to duck down. But you can see the eyes and the brow, and there's the nostrils, the mouth. Skin is gray, you can see that. No facial hair. There's my sketch. This one, Rich Gameau gave me permission to use this. This is from the Olympic project when Rich Gameau was part of it. And this is a Sasquatch giving the old one eye to one of the Reconyx cameras. Of course, he's right in it, and so there's a big time infrared whiteout. He's probably not white at all. But that's what happens when you get right in the front of the camera. But then I did this for him. I kind of took this face and cut it, flipped it, and kind of give you an idea. You can see the brow ridge, the nostril, and the mouth, and the hair. This one has a very hairy face, like a Wolf Manny face. See the hair hanging off his face here, off his cheeks, and coming off the nose. Just a little different perspective. Here again is the one at the campground. This is him sitting down. Like I said, I saw him go into the squatted position. He's in very thick foliage. You can see he's very wide shouldered. His shoulder comes all the way out to here. You can see his hair and shoulder and stuff in his head right there. Notice the Shoulder goes in. He's got a little bit of a neck. And he's more, he's more human-y looking than the others. This one was across a ravine and a thicket. Went back and did follow up, and the next weekend, whatever this is, wasn't there. And I think it's that's not the best. Here it is. This is July 11th. You can see him right there. And I went back on the 25th, same tree, same position. This limb right here is this limb. And there's the tree, and there ain't nothing there. So we got a walking stump, or this was something giving me a look-see. This was the lookout that I had the gut feeling it was there, and I started zooming around. He was there's a split in the trail. That turkey pen goes to the left, and the other trail, Schoolhouse Gap, keeps going, and they always have a lookout up there, and I had the gut feeling we were being watched, and I started zooming in and out, and I got him. There he is. And of course he's got holding something that looks like a basket, and I don't know what it is right here in front of his face, but there's his two eyes, the top of his head. The sun is shining and gleaming off his head. I don't think he's bald, but I think just because the brightness of the sun. This is his body. This is a leg. He's kneeling down or sitting. Can't tell. This is his right arm. And then it gets better because a few frames later you can see his eyes. And that's kind of the clincher for this old boy. You can see here, there's the shoulder and the chest and this whatever, but right here is his right and left eye. There's his eyes. He's looking at me as I'm looking at him. Of course, I'm looking through the camera lens, and he's aware. That's just the cutouts. This old boy, that's the sketch. This old boy was the one I saw. I actually saw him with my own two eyes. Long story short, he was sidestepping. I thought it was a bear. I throw the camera up. When I throw the camera up, he jumps into the stump pose. And you can see here, he's got this limb going right between his eyes, and he's got upturned nostrils. This is another deviation. All the other ones have the downturned nostrils like humans. This one's upturned, but look, you see how this tree limb's pushing this nostril down? There's nose hole, right and left eye, right eye, ear, forehead. And right there, this is pushing that nostril. And this is him in the foliage, squatted down. He's squatted in the stump pose. He's got his knees up, sitting on his butt. He's got his arms in front of him there, wrapped around his legs. Like I said, I saw him with my own two eyes jump into this thicket. He was trying to go on farther to the left, and as I started to bring the camera up, he took like a hop skip jump and then went straight down and froze, just like this. And you can see there's his right eye and his left eye. He's got light colored eyebrows, gray hair, and then there's his nose hose. There's close up, eyeball, That's the old boy. So this one was behind me and my ex-wife back in 2018-19. We were walking out, and we're walking down this trail. It's actually a lot darker. The camera lightens it up. He's there, and he's leaning out from around this tree and these bushes. He's not a zipper. He's more than his head. You can see here. You can see his body. It goes all the way down to here, but he's just looking with that, again, the one eye. This is kind of a different looking one. If you look here, you can see his teeth. Look here. See it? There's a tooth, a gap in a tooth. Teeth right there. He's got a little crumpled nose. There's his upper lip. It's a long distance there. There's his right eye. There's his pupil, and then got a little bit of sun glinting off the right forehead, his ear, and then there's his hair. And there he is. That's what, there he is. More of an apey looking one. Not an ape, but, he's got a very small nose and kind of got a protruding front of the face. And then this is just the close-ups. Again, you can see the teeth. See the teeth? Cat between the two front teeth. His mouth's open. This is the one that was another plot watcher capture. This is me in the same location as the Sasquatch. It's his right shoulder, his right eye, and his cheek. There you go. I went backwards again. This is the actual plot watcher capture. He sneaks up to this tree. There he is. And then that's close-ups. And me in the same location. This is one that I captured at the feeding station. This is his, I think this is his fingers, not his nose, and this is his cheek. His eyes are up here. It's kind of hard to decipher, but I believe this is his eyes are up here, and this is like his hand. There's a finger there, and a finger there, and a finger there. And then there's his ear and the top of his head. You can see the line in his forehead. And you can see here, this is 2009. This is very early capture with a 480p. This is one that I had turned my back on this location, and this is a small one. He come under, he popped his head up. Now he was, this thing was about 6 or 7 feet behind me, literally. And then so here he is, and then I go back a week later. This right here is that right there. So it's the same location, and of course there's nothing there. You can actually see under this fallen down tree. This is a tree that had fallen, and he come under it and up, and you can actually see through it here. Here you can't see through it. He's blocking it. So he's there and not there. This was one that was in a brush pile, and I'm just showing here. You can see him. It's not great, but there's 3 limbs, and he pulls one down as I get farther away so he can see me better. All right, here's the one we all been waiting for, the old white Sasquatch, and there he is. That's a still capture. It's back trail. Camera's on my right shoulder. I'm walking away. Don't have a gimbal. It's 1080p. Don't write me no emails. Don't tell me to get better equipment. He sneaks up here, boom, realizes I got a camera on, and goes down. That is like the second best. That's right before he starts to duck down. It's blurry because I'm moving and he's moving. I'm moving down and away and shaking my shoulders. He's moving down into his left, all at the same time. There's the best still capture. It's not doctored. It's nothing done to it other than I deblurred it. I used, a couple of, brightness and contrast, and that's it. And denoised it. Normal, everyday filters. There he is, sad looking eyes. Look at those eyes. They're just sad looking. He's white. He's literally there's his nose. And he's got a Trojan helmet on. He's got hair. His hair's on top of his nose, and there's his cheek, hair. The hair's just kind of unkept. Now here's like frame 1, and he's in the frame. Here's frame 14, and we're going down the hill away from him. Those who claim this is a white clump of flowers, here's your problem. All right, if this white clump of flowers, in order for this illusion to happen, has to be in front, can't be behind, or it wouldn't work. So when we get here, where's the white clump of flowers? Because the white clump of flowers should be going, as I'm going downhill, and if the white clump of flowers is over here, and you'd see them and they'd start going down. So anyway, there's that. And there again, frame, that's the first frame. And that's before I run all the filters on it. That's very raw. This is the best shot from the run it back and forth and stopping. Again, it's digital. So sometimes you run it backwards and forwards, you get a different editor, you get a better frame. And so this is the best one. I think it's a pretty good one. It's just a smaller version. And then that's the one, basically this is the frame right after this one. He's starting to duck down, so things are getting a little blurry. So let me go here and play the loop for you. No, I don't want to do that. So just watch him. You'll see he's right there, and there he goes down. This is stabilized. Okay, this is how shaky it was. I stabilized this, and it's in about 1/4 speed. And so right there he's up. Right there he's up. You can definitely see he's behind this set of bushes. And then, well, I'm at the end. But I'm in full control. He's up, and then I've looped it, basically, so I'm just going up and down. He's up, there he is up, there he is going down. And that's how fast it lasted. In fact, like I said, this is 1/4 speed, so this happened in milliseconds, I mean frames, like 30 frames per second, and we're probably talking 10, 12 frames. And since I did a loop, I'm just showing you at the end there. But you can see here, see he goes down, he's up, and he's down. You got definitely moving independent. So you can see him moving, boom, down he goes. And I'm just looping up and down, he's right there. The old boy says, you can't see that when I can't help you. Don't go in the woods if you can't see that. Just stay way away from the woods, because you're going to get eaten by a bear if you can't see that. Anyway. So that's it. I think I got a couple other loops there. Let me see if I can escape out of this. Okay. Yep. And so there you go. For those who have not seen my research, and these are some of the Sasquatch I've captured. This is, I didn't capture these like one weekend after the other. This is over 10 years and thousands of hours of video. And I still have hours and hours, hundreds, if not thousands of hours I haven't reviewed yet. So, and this, like I said, this is from 2009 all the way to 2018-19 here. So, this just all wasn't captured, yesterday. This is weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend of going and taking hours and hours of video, back trail, side trail. This is when I was quote researching. I don't do this anymore. It's too much. I've done everything I know to do. I've got the video. We got DNA study. They're real. I don't. Like I say, hopefully this will help somebody who may see one of these that resembles what they saw, and they can see that they're real. That, yeah, you can't. It's difficult because they're in the foliage. They're hiding. They're not going to jump out and stand in front of you. The patty film is the exception, not the rule. And so they're not, they're hiding and peeking. They're, the white Sasquatch is the prime example. Thousands of hours and he got busted. He didn't realize until it was too late that I had a back trail camera on my shoulder. And that's when you get the old poo moment. And he, this is, if you want an old poo moment from a Sasquatch, this is the old poo moment. He realizes right there he's busted. He's caught. He's like, oh crap, he's got a camera. And that's all you get. That's it. That's it. That's all you get. 10 years, and there you go. On the back trail behind me, and he's like, oops, oh poo. He caught me. That's it. It's tough to get more than that. Unless you have a habituation situation where you've got some sort of ongoing relationship and they actually allow you to film them, it's tough. They're intelligent beings that do not want their picture taken, do not want to interact with us. They want to hide and peek and do their little stuff. And matching wits with them is impossible. They outclass us. They can outthink us. Even the white one can stay hidden. And he got, like I said, he had his one old poo moment. 10 years for that one clip of an old poo I screwed up. I may have more that I ain't got to, but I can only do so much. So talk too long, videos run too long. You can see it's almost 10 o'clock here and I've still got to try to, I've got to edit this and I've got to render it and then I got to put the trailer on it. I got to put the, intro on it, yada, 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 and try to get it up tonight. I hope I can. Maybe if not tonight, just turn 10 o'clock and I got to be bed at 11. I got to go get up and get in the morning and go to work. So, but again, if this helps anyone, that's my motive with showing this. It's not say I'm some sort of great researcher, which I'm not. Look, and I got lucky. God bless me, and I will say I had some tenacity and I tried some out of the box stuff. But at the end of the day, if it wasn't for God blessing me and putting these things together, they wouldn't happen. Okay, it just wouldn't happen. And I just really can't take the credit for it. This was a higher purpose for me to capture these images. And, I think that purpose in the end was to help people. For those who have had encounters, who need to put a face with a name, but to say, that was what I saw. Yeah, there are pictures and there they are and they're real and I'm not crazy. And that's what this is all about. That's what this video is all about. And again, this video proves nothing. And it's not meant to prove anything. But it is validation. And it is closure, hope, or a start of closure for maybe, even if it's just one person sees this who's really having issues and says, that's the one, that's it. Or, see, they are real. See, they're on film. He really got them, and this is not, this is not a blob squatch. There's something there. That's my goal and my hope. So, guys, appreciate you watching Sasquatch Awareness Project. Go visit there. It's got good information, help, and like I said, promise is to try to keep doing more regular videos to get more information out and answer more questions from the emails. Pray for our country. A lot of stuff going on right now. Really, really interesting and weird weather going on right now. If it's not drought and hot one place, it's flooding another. Just unusual things going on in the world. And be good to each other and be safe out there. I'll talk to you soon.